Okay, look, let's just get it out of the way from the top. Yes, at one point when Adam Pearce was talking about Drew McIntyre on last night's episode of Raw, he called him Drew McInfart. That's not me kidding around. These are actually the words that came out of his mouth, but I think it's a conspiracy. Because we all know what Vince McMahon's humour is. It's like craps and poos and potty humour. I think this was a mistake done on purpose because they knew it would go viral and they knew that idiots like you and I would talk about it and just go on wrestling Twitter today. Everybody is talking about Drew McInfart. Now, of course, I did laugh because I too am a 7-year-old child. But what you're going to do? Well, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take the finger of power and we are going to go through the first show ever since Survivor Series, also known as Monday Night Raw, and we're going to give the good bits an up and we're going to give the bad bits a down. And it's one of those episodes where you need to brace yourself because it was crazy. Let's up those downs. Well, we all knew something like this was coming because Raw opened up with Adam Pearce, he who called Drew McIntyre Drew McInfart, and he was so happy that Team Raw had clean swept through Team SmackDown, he was going to let all the competitors, all the opponents, all the teammates argue to decide who the new #1 contender should be. And I don't know about you, but that's why I tune into wrestling for healthy intellectual debate. I want to see people punch each other in the face. That's barbaric. It also looked ridiculous as they were all facing the camera, and you'd never stand like this if you were about to have a conversation, and Adam Pearce even called AJ Styles the captain. And don't forget, in the story, he wasn't the captain. AJ had just decided he was, but he lied about it so much, now all the officials in WWE think that it's real. That is brilliant. Everyone there had a bunch of scripted lines to say, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't really do any of them any favours, but no one got it worse off than Braun Strowman, who now looks like the biggest idiot ever. Because everybody else had said their piece, so Mr. Pearce went, well, let's hear from Braun Strowman, last but not least, and Braun erupted like he'd gone, look at you, you flubbing tub of goo. Braun, you need to calm down. Being called last isn't an insult. If somebody walked up to me in the street and went, Miller, you flubbing last, I'd be like, what are you talking about, you weirdo? As ever, then Braun was shouting and screaming because he's unable to communicate like a normal human being, and he lost his temper to such a degree, he took out Adam Pearce. And this was sold like he'd hit somebody's grandmother. I've seen Adam Pearce a lot. It looks like he could take a little bit of a thumping. So that didn't really work as intended, and neither did all the stupid nicknames that were firing off. Sheamus was calling Matt Riddle Dopey, and Riddle was calling Sheamus Fireface or Firehead. None of this really hit, and it just wasn't the best. That's how I spin it. It wasn't the best. Actually, it wasn't very good at all. Down. It was in a rematch from last week as the New Day were taking on the Hurt Business, and I scratched my head like, but why would anybody be able to do this again? Because the New Day just won. We even saw both teams backstage, and Xavier Woods even said that. Why would we do it? We already whipped your ass. MVP and co thought that they did deserve another shot because the New Day lost at Survivor Series, and that's actually gibberish, and because Xavier and Kofi Kingston felt a little bit offended, they just said, all right, cool, let's go out there and have this match. Why wasn't Adam Pearce livid about this? Why are wrestlers just booking their own fights? I'm sorry, you can't do that, it's getting a down. Thing is though, last week was really good, and therefore it stands to reason that this week was really good too. Up. I'd love to say that this was a home run from start to finish, even though we did get 8 minutes of good action, but WWE just can't help themselves, because this week they decided, well, we don't really want to have a proper winner or a proper loser, so they pulled out their shenanigan card. And they have overused that aplenty. Because after all of this, Shelton Benjamin and Kofi Kingston just got counted out. They got counted out. It was a double count out. It was also really weird because it kind of felt like it shouldn't have been a double count out. The referee looked confused, and the wrestlers are confused, and the announcers got confused, and then all of a sudden the match started again. So you're like, what the hell is going on? I had no idea. It was kind of like somebody was just thumping me in my face, and I went all wibbly wobbly, and then tried to watch wrestling. Down. And the New Day just won, and I get mistakes happen too, of course they do, you've got to accept that, but this was more confusing than a fan that says they like Mojo Rawley. That's a joke, that's a cheap shot. I really like Mojo, who just never gets any TV time. Anyway, Woods pinned Benjamin after like a sunset power bomb flip thingamajig, and loads of people messaging me going, Simon, it's the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, and I actually think that one gets a pass, because it does have a little bit more impact. I don't know why we had to go round and round in circles. Don't make me do my Google map analogy again. I've already run it into the ground. much like this match. Adam Pearce then had a sore head. I mean, I'm not surprised, the giant monster had punched him in there, and he said that he wanted to fire Braun Strowman, but instead he had just banned him from the arena. I mean, they are two ends of the extreme, but Adam, it's your job. You do whatever the hell you want. He was then going to announce who the #1 contender was, or what we were going to do, when Bobby Lashley came up to him and went, hey man, I won at Survivor Series, I think we should have a chat. So they went and had a chat. After an advert, this happened again, but this time it was Randy Orton who wanted to have a chat. So they went and had a chat. We then teased that Lana may have a women's championship on this evening against Asuka because she was the sole survivor at the Survivor Series. But if you know how she was the sole survivor at the Survivor Series, you know that is the equivalent of a sports team, being put into the final of a tournament just because they turned up. Anyway, Adam Pearce was then back and finally got his instructions out, which is that we're going to get a bunch of matches this week, 3 to be precise, and then those 3 winners will have a triple threat match next week, and whoever wins that will be the #1 contender to Drew McIntyre. I mean, we took our time to get there, but it did sound very fun. And we then got one of those right away because it was Riddle versus Sheamus, and these two guys just have great chemistry. They had great chemistry a couple of weeks ago. They had great chemistry again here. I mean, a large part of their allure is they just smash the crap out of each other, but I like it muchly, and it's getting it up. I was kind of intrigued too, because all the signs so far have pointed to the fact that Sheamus would be Drew McIntyre's first opponent coming out of the Survivor Series, but sometimes when the common sense is staring you in the face, WWE will go in the other direction, because why the hell not? And that's kind of what they did. Not that it bothered me, because this was just such an enjoyable watch, especially when Sheamus hit a white noise off the second rope and got a damn near fall. And really, I should have known what they were going to do. Because we were never going to get a defined finish, and instead Riddle used the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, after Sheamus was trying to do the Texas Cloverleaf submission. Doesn't he look like an idiot? But bring down the board, that is number 94. We are so close to 100. Hands up if you're excited, and realize this has been an absolutely fruitless exercise that has wasted all our lives. Unfortunately, the hand has to stay up. Either way though, Riddle has qualified for next week, and I wonder who's going to join him. Asuka then found Lana and just gave her a title shot. I mean, why the hell not? Why the hell not? She may as well have given her a raise as well, because clearly Asuka is just in charge of the women's division. What is Adam Pearce doing? He was brought in to be an authority figure, and once again, all the wrestlers are just making the matches. Down. I mean, you should be livid about this. It's like somebody coming into your house and eating your breakfast. You wouldn't stand for it. You were looking forward to those eggs. The Firefly Funhouse was next, and it won me back, and my word, thank goodness it did. Because last week, for the first time ever, it got down, and some guy went crazy at me on Twitter because he couldn't handle that one of them I didn't enjoy. I mean, I think it's a pretty good record, but this one was flipping fantastic. It had me straight away because we had a brand new puppet called Friendship Frog, and I was like, man, that's something that I would have come up with on Ups and Downs because I'm a massive idiot, and now I feel like me and Bray Wyatt are a little bit closer because clearly we're both idiots. Although he could beat me up. Bray and Alexa Bliss didn't really like Friendship Frog though, so Wyatt touched Alexa Bliss, she went all crazy, and she killed the dude, and then I was laughing my ass off because seconds later, we had a tribute video for Friendship Frog, who as far as we were concerned, was only born about 2 minutes before it. I actually think this was one of my favourite Firefly Funhouses ever. I was laughing out my mouth, as opposed to my ear. I don't know why I said it. This was just really fun though, and it did its job of reminding you what we're trying to get over, because we are going to have a feud between Orton and Bray Wyatt, we are going to have a feud between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and I'm okay with all of those things. And then my word, why do we even bother? Why do we even invest? From now on, I am watching Raw like this, just completely emotionless, and I'll nod and I'll go, okay, and other words that are completely neutral. Down. Because it was Lana versus Asuka, and it finished in a disqualification when Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, who were ringside, just beat her up. I mean, I know Asuka poured water on them first. It didn't even go a minute. It didn't even go 60 seconds. So I was like, I could have taken those 60 seconds and I could have done anything. I could have cooked myself a delicious pancake. Lana then stopped Nia from throwing Asuka through the table, so I suppose that's the big payoff, and it didn't make me feel anything. And then more craziness was happening because Nia Jax got on a mic and went, look, I'm really mad today, so why don't we have a tag team match? And if you can believe it, our tag team champions lost to this makeshift team of Asuka and Lana. So what does it say about them? I'll tell you, it says they suck. Hilariously too, it ended with the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment when Asuka snuck up behind Shayna Baszler and rolled her up for the 1, 2, 3. Does WWE not read its own booking sheet and go, oh, we should probably come up with a different finish? We're doing the same one though. Clearly they don't. I keep an eye on it though. Bring it down, 95. We are so close. And I guess now we're going to have that tag team title match. And there you were worried that WWE didn't have any ready-made teams for Shayna and Nia. You were right. Then it was just an absolutely stupid segment with MVP and Riddle. These two were backstage, and Riddle was trying to promote his businesses to the leader of the Hurt Business when he said, hey man, I've got a great idea. Why don't we create pizza-flavored yogurt? However, when MVP said he didn't like this idea, Riddle made this noise like a cat who had just been told by his owners it had to leave and go and find someone else. I laughed and I realized, damn it, and being entertained is getting it up. For some reason, MVP then agreed to listen to more of his ideas in a couple of weeks, but unfortunately, if he doesn't like them, the Hurt Business en masse is gonna crack the crap out of Riddle. This shouldn't have worked. It really shouldn't, but that one little thing, including the fact that MVP laughed a little bit, it got me. And yes, he was right, I would eat pizza-flavored yogurt. Okay, so the next match, I'm not gonna lie, I liked it. It was Keith Lee versus Bobby Lashley to see who was gonna be the big #1 contender contest next week, and it gave us a completely different dynamic, because usually Bobby's all like powerful and strong, but he's not gonna be able to outlift Keith Lee, so we switched things on its head here, and I thought it was quite good. The problem with it though was that halfway through, the roles just changed. And everyone was saying, oh man, Bobby Lashley has slowed down the pace of this match. Even at the start they were saying, oh, Bobby Lashley, he's got to kick the pace up quick, otherwise he's going to get decimated. And it was just a way to put Bobby Lashley over, because he kept picking up Keith Lee. Why aren't we getting more behind Keith Lee? This is the equivalent to Otis on SmackDown. Everything is right there, just push him to the moon. And we also were reminded that Keith Lee does have a new gimmick, which is I will never win a match properly, but I will still somehow be the victor. Because here MVP got worried, he got in the ring, he beat up Keith Lee, that meant he got DQ'd, but it means that he wins. What was the point? And even if this was a good idea, because you want to protect Lashley and Keith Lee, the issue that we're living in now is that WWE does this all the time. I mean, it's countouts, it's DQs, it's the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. It's just too much, and we've officially arrived at the law of diminishing returns. Like now I watch thinking, well, I'm not gonna get a proper finish, and that should never be the way. Nikki Cross then decided she hated Alexa Bliss. What did I tell you? What a terrible friend. She tried to justify it here by going, well, I said you never give up on friends, but Alexa Bliss gave up on me, so therefore I'm gonna give up on her. That is a contradiction in terms. Also, you gave it 14 days. We then did segue into that match though, and I tell you, this was really good. Cross was whooping Alexa for most of this, but Bliss was laughing it off like she enjoyed pain as much as she enjoyed coffee. And my word, did she have a lovely plan up her sleeve. Because about halfway through, all of a sudden she snapped out of her trance and she was like, oh, Nikki Cross, I'm so sorry, I love you, I want to be friends again. And Nikki was like, I've done it. What a moron. As soon as the pair hugged, Alexa Bliss turned that into the sister Abigail and she got the 1, 2, 3. And she even did this pin like she was Harley Quinn, did that with her hands. That wasn't it. I don't know what I'm doing. Honestly though, this new version of Alexa Bliss is without doubt the best one. I find her very entertaining, and it's actually helped Nikki Cross too. Hopefully we can start adding little bits to her character. Our main event was then out of nowhere, and it was Randy Orton versus AJ Styles to see who the last person in the triple threat match next week was going to be. I kind of think we should have shouted louder about this beforehand. It's Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. That is top tier, and top tier gets it up. AJ realised right out of the gates that Randy was a lot taller than him, so he started to aim and go after that knee as if he was trying to get his Twitch account back. Shouldn't have said that, I regret it, it's too soon. Styles then slipped out of an RKO and hit an enziguri, but that pissed Randy Orton off, so they brawled outside and he threw him into the ring apron. I will tell you this, we had our working boots on. Given that this was the night of 1002 distractions though, we should have known what was round the corner, because when Orton was on the outside, all of a sudden you've got the lights and the of Bray Wyatt appearing, and kind of hilariously, he popped up beneath the barricade or from behind it as if Randy Orton was about to play whack-a-mole. And because he didn't thwomp him in time, all of a sudden Bray Wyatt disappeared again. This was not the terrifying version that we are used to. But then Randy got back in control and it all happened again, and he was so distracted. AJ Styles hit the phenomenal forearm, he got the 1, 2, 3, and he's going on to that match next week. Now look, this was all fine, I guess it does make sense, because obviously we were going to do that feud, it's been written on the wall for ages, but why the hell was AJ Styles not scared or distracted by The Fiend, but Randy Orton stopped in his tracks and forgot he was supposed to be fighting a flipping wrestling match? So I will say that that little part was the wrong side of goofy, but look what we just set up for next week. Matt Riddle versus Keith Lee versus AJ Styles in a #1 contender match. That makes me feel all warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Also, given the right time, that could be fire, but honestly, this episode of Raw felt like it was written at the last minute. I'm not saying that I wasn't entertained, but sometimes you just have to accept the bad bits didn't hit the mark as they were meant to, even though we did have some good wrestling. Very sadly, I hate doing it. It's gotta get it down. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let me...
Come on, pick up. Yeah, Simon, it's clear. I need you to call me back as soon as you get this message. I figured out who this 666 Boo guy thing is. I went through all the old videos and the code and everything, and it's right there, and it's so much worse than we thought it was. It's really serious. Like that line about WhatCulture took something from me. It makes sense, man, because it's literally the power's gone out. Oh, hang on, it's back on. I'm gonna have to go sort this out, but you need to call me as soon as you get this message, man. It's really bad. Bye. This is a nightmare.